Hello everyone, Social Coach Michael Knight here, and today we'll be talking about how you can talk to millennials with zero attention spans. Perhaps you're familiar with the comedian Jim Jeffries and agree with his diagnosis of millennials.
Here's the thing about millennials. You're the worst people that have ever lived. You're the worst. You're just a horrible breed of people. And I don't even blame you. It's just the society you're in. You have social media, every single peanut fucking thought that ever came into your head, I'll fucking comment on that.
And thus you may be thinking, why even bother? But if you're from an older generation or you're millennial like myself and you're looking for a way to better communicate with your peers, understanding the millennial mindset is key. The first thing that you have to understand about millennials is that our brains have become completely addicted to novelty and instant gratification, primarily as a result of smartphones, the internet, and social media. For example, a girl in the past who may have been complimented on average, once a day by a stranger, can now receive hundreds of compliments in the time span of less than an hour when using social media apps such as Instagram and Tinder, thus diluting anything you have to say into nothing more than background noise. This is why I'm so keen about in-person interactions, because if you can effectively meet people in person, it's very easy to differentiate yourself. You can completely circumvent the online world where you can just end up being one picture among millions of others. Even if you do perfectly perfect your online persona, the final goal of any online interaction is normally for it to end up being eventually an in-person interaction. And if your in-person social skills are subpar, then there really was no point, and the interaction is not going to go anywhere, and the whole thing was just a waste of time from the start. Thus, improving one's in-person social skills should be their primary focus. I've worked with clients in highly social environments such as nightclubs to work to improve their social skills. And in these type of environments, the blaring music and the blinding lights are all there purposely to overstimulate the crowd. DJs don't even play full songs anymore. They play like a 30-second clip and then switch it in order to provide more novelty and stimulate the crowd. One of the advantages of learning to improve your social skills in such an environment is with the environment itself working against you with all this overstimulation. Learning to hold a conversation and keep attention, if you can do it in that environment, it actually can seem easy when you do it in a normal environment. You got to remember, this is like a microcosm of the millennial mind. This overstimulation and looking for novelty and always wanting to do something new, right? And if you can captivate someone there, then when you get back to the real world, it can be much easier. In modern times, we now all carry endless distractions in each of our pockets, and thus the threshold for holding someone's attention has been set higher. To effectively hold a person's attention, you have to become more engaging. The raw substance of a conversation is no longer enough. You also have to have the ability to captivate attention. The ultimate goal is to learn how to be more naturally charismatic while remaining congruent with who you really are. Historically, social coaches often taught sequences of memorized bits and routines in order to hold attention. And when executed well, they actually could work, but they're not at all ideal. Because when you're using memorized bits and routines, you can come off looking unauthentic. And authenticity is one of the most important things when it comes to forming a connection. Alternatively, by correcting just some of your core behaviors, you can naturally generate attention and attraction rather than needing to actively manipulate your audience. It's the difference between the entrepreneur who legitimately is excited to share his new product with you and the sleazy car salesman. The sleazy car salesman can use a really good initial pitch to get the car off the lot, but eventually the buyer is going to be remorseful about it, feel lied to, and have a negative opinion of him. Plus, you don't want to become a dancing monkey. That is someone who solely acts out of desperation for other people's attention. Acting in this sort of way breaks my core rules regarding that one should not barter for another person's attention or be actively trying to qualify themselves to win their approval. These behaviors, in addition to all the other behaviors that instantly kill attraction, are covered in depth in my book, which you can find linked to in the description below. A key aspect to effectively talking to other people is to make it as enjoyable for both of you as possible, while simultaneously not feeling like you're destroying your own soul in the process. This is important because the emotions that you are personally feeling inside are often subconsciously transferred onto the other person. Thus, it's ideal to put yourself in the emotional state that you want the other person to be in, this anomaly being a positive one. This is also why those who exhibit high levels of negativity are incredibly hard to coach. Often the negative vibes that they're giving off poison an interaction prior to them even speaking. You need to be able to generate your own positive emotions, control your mental state, and not have your emotions dependent on external factors and other people. To achieve this, I recommend talking about things that interest you, because when you talk about something you're passionate about, the other person can feel this passion, and it makes the conversation more emotionally stimulating. Like I said before, the raw content of a conversation is no longer enough. you also have to be emotionally stimulating, at least more stimulating than the alternative of them just ignoring you and scrolling through social media on their smartphone. An important component of making a conversation emotionally stimulating is for not all the emotions being communicated to be predictably positive. There at least needs to be the potential for the emotions to move in an unknown direction. It's not necessary to be purposely rude or insulting to another person in order to add emotional variability into a conversation. The same thing can naturally be achieved by simply being a person who is well grounded in their own beliefs, not looking for the other person's approval, and is willing to disagree with the other person. In addition to making a conversation more stimulating, being willing to voice disagreement with a person shows that person that you're not just telling them what you think they want to hear, and thus they'll have much more respect for you and view you as being honest. When they view you as an authentic and honest person, it'll be much easier to form a connection. We live in an attention-based economy. Multi-billion-dollar corporations are all vying for our attention. If you want to have any hope of competing against them, you can't give them the home court advantage by playing on their platforms. Instead, you need to learn how to socialize in the real world and thus put yourself in a completely different league. More resources on how to do this can be found linked to in the description below. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Until next time, ciao.